Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. We're here tonight to review Gypsy Rose Blanchard's book, Released: Conversations on the Eve of Freedom. You can obtain this book easily on Amazon. It's like $9, and it's an ebook. You read it through your Kindle, or you can download an app to read it. The book itself is only like 100 pages long, so it'll be a quick read for us, probably only a couple of videos, not like my Jill Duggar series, which was like 15 videos long, my Kate Goslin series, which was like 30 videos long, and we still haven't finished it. We're gonna finish this real quick, so let's get started. Okay, first we have the preface of the book, and this is just entirely a summary of what happened to Gypsy, like growing up, how she and Nick became involved, and what happened on the night that Dee Dee Blanchard was murdered. And nothing about the preface is different from what I've heard before, from any of the information that we've gotten. I don't see anything that really stands out to me as being shocking. So if you aren't aware of what the story is, you can check some of my other videos, but we're gonna skip going through the summary at this point in time and move on to chapter 1. She does mention in the preface, which I do think is important. This is actually really important to point out based upon all the other many videos I've been doing about Gypsy, that Gypsy, when she was 19 years old, started creating a whole range of fake social media accounts. She was using them to meet people, and that's part of how she met Nicholas Godejohn. And to this day, I find that Gypsy is so ridiculously, like utterly popular on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram. She has a ton of followers. Go check out my other videos to hear all about that and all the craziness that surrounds her. So she's kind of this generation where even though she was imprisoned by her mom, maybe this is like, at least she had this outlet. She was able to communicate with people via social media. So it's really in her background to be a part of social media. Okay. So the next part of the book is the introduction. And in this chapter, Gypsy shows us a letter that she wrote to her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. Okay, I was kind of shocked by the letter. From my own personal standpoint, I was taken aback. And let's read a little bit of it, and then I'll review some of it, and I'll tell you why I felt this way. It starts off with, "Mother, I am now 28 years old and in prison for my part in your murder. And although I can never justify my crime, nor can any letter or apology give back the life that was taken, I am writing this as if you were physically in front of me to express all that I've held in for the whole of my life." Gypsy goes on in the letter to say that the person she is now is far different from the girl who committed the act against her mom on that desperate and sad night. She talks about having lived 20 years with her mother as really her only guardian and friend, being incredibly lonely and feeling completely isolated from the outside world. And according to Gypsy, she didn't really understand why she was being isolated in this way. She talks about the many unnecessary medical treatments, including surgeries, medications, all of that. And she says, like, this left her scarred, both physically and emotionally, still to this day, as she sits here and writes this letter now. And this is something that really stands out to me. She says, "Your choice not to have me educated has left me with few opportunities in the real world. And that's really hard." I mean, I can't even imagine. I'm actually really impressed with how Gypsy is able to communicate in a lot of the interviews that I've seen her in. I don't know if she's just been very well coached, but in general, I think that she's really good at communicating with people. And it's obviously a horrible situation that she was never even allowed to experience any kind of school, not even like really a homeschool type of environment as far as we know. And she says that she lacks a lot of self-esteem, and she feels like she doesn't have confidence when she's around people who maybe have a higher education than she does. But she also points out that in keeping her home from school, her mother robbed her of a lot of like really small moments that are important to other children, other families, other people in their lives. She asks like why she never got to have that first day of school experience where everyone is excited to see her go. And, you know, she just missed out on so much when it comes to these little moments that many people cherish about their lives. Lastly, she lets us know through this letter, speaking to her mom, she says that it took a lot of years for her to fully understand what happened to her. that she kind of existed in a state of not really getting it for a while after the murder took place, and it's taken time for her to figure it all out. I am able to let go of the resentment I held against you and forgive you. And moreover, I want to let you know that I'm so sorry for having a part in your death. Murder was never the answer or solution. There's not a single day that you go unremembered, and I will carry this regret and remorse for the rest of my life. I will always love you for bringing me into this world, and I will remember you with love for the woman I know was a good person behind the mental disorder. I can never undo the hurt that was caused by my actions, but I hope by doing this, I am remembering you well and making a positive difference with your memory. I love you, Mom. She talks a little bit about wanting to do advocacy work and saying that this is a way that she can remember her mother. Okay, for me, guys, I was really kind of shocked by this. I know that this is kind of what would be expected of her, having been imprisoned for this crime, but I have a really hard time. I almost feel angry for her when I read this letter. I feel like, why should she have to apologize to this person who held her prisoner for 20 years of her life? Many of you are going to disagree with that. Many of you, because many of you have been in my comments talking about it, and I get it. But I don't feel that way. I have worked with so many horribly abused children, and the things that they do, the behaviors that they participate in are not a lot different than Gypsy. And the fact that it escalated all the way to murder, I think that that has to do with the fact that Gypsy was running out of time, and she did not see any other way out of this situation. Please leave your comments below about how you disagree. I'm always open for discussion about it, but I'm almost shocked by the letter because I am kind of like, you shouldn't have to apologize to this person who did all of this to you. You were in a state of believing that this was what you had to do to get out of there. And that's how I feel. That's what I really believe about this situation. So it's hard for me to see her have to apologize like this. And then when we move into the next section of the book, we learn that this was actually a letter that she wrote in 2018, and it was because she was taking a mandatory class in prison, and the class was called Impact of Crime on Victims. All right, so this would have been like required of her to write, that she would kind of have this awareness about the consequences of her actions, and she talks about this here, and she says that she received a lot of therapy in prison. She does make it clear that beyond like feeling sad about her mom in this letter, she says, I was sitting there thinking about all of my family, all of my friends and neighbors, everyone that was family, friends, neighbors of Nick, and how it impacted all of their lives, not just mine and Nick's and my mother's. And I think that that's true. It's sincerely, the behavior and the crime that they committed did impact a lot of people beyond Dee Dee Blanchard. Next, she wants us to know that becoming so famous after the act was released was really hard for her, that it brought a lot of unwelcomed attention. It made her feel crazy at times. She got a lot of negative attention plus positive attention that would, as we've seen, go back and watch my videos, sometimes the positive attention would turn toxic, and it was hard for her to navigate all of this. I wonder, like, I don't understand. I still don't get this part. Like, isn't there a team of people who made a contract with her through Lifetime to do all this stuff that she's been doing? And they made a contract to pay her. Like, why didn't they have someone working with her like all along, more so to kind of protect her from these people who were going to come after her and want these relationships with, and they were going to want all these relationships with her? I don't know. I don't really get it. I don't get it at all. I've spoken out about Fancy and Katie Joy, two YouTube social media creators who I think both got way too enmeshed with this family and Gypsy, and I don't really understand it. Like, these people are not, I don't know. It just seems like Gypsy and her family, if they're going to do this, if they're going to, be involved with all of this, like putting stuff out in the public, having Gypsy be out in the public, exposing like her advocacy work, doing whatever, they should have done it through like a well-established network. They should have stuck with like Dr. Phil and all his stuff. Going after, like, getting involved with people like Fancy and Katie Joy Paulson from Without a Crystal Ball makes no sense to me. Like, they're bigger than that, and those people have a history. Well, I don't know about Fancy, but Katie Joy certainly has a history of using these stories to make money off of them and then getting in like toxic fights with the people that are involved in the real life drama. And it's just really sad to watch that happen over and over again. So I've been really confused. I've been confused as to why Christy Blanchard and Gypsy, you know, they got involved with some of these people. But I mean, at least this book is from Gypsy's point of view. So I'm glad to read it. And it's here that she credits Melissa Moore, who's helping her write the book. She says that it's been hard to write this book and she really needed some support and help through it, and says that Melissa's become a close friend over the years. She says that after like getting rid of the addiction she had to all of these medications, she feels like her brain is finally clean, and she doesn't have like foggy judgment any longer, and that feels really good. Gypsy lets us know that further into the book we're going to see transcripts which she's written with Melissa, so we'll get more information about what was going on with her in the prison. She's also going to share like her prison doodling. I'd be doing a lot of doodling if I was in there. I can't imagine like all the time to kill. And she says that she wants to write this book as a rewrite of the misinformed story that we've been told by many different versions that have been put out there about Gypsy. And here I'm going to show you this picture that she includes. She says that it was an assignment in the prison to illustrate what her crime looked like and the impact that it had on everyone. Okay, that's it for this video. Next time we'll be moving on to chapter 1. This is a really short book. This was all like an intro to all of it. So the next is chapter 1, and it's called On Trust and Betrayal. And it starts with a transcript of Melissa and Gypsy speaking to each other in the prison. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope that you'll join me again tomorrow as we head down yet another rabbit hole.